Welcome, friends of the Crawford. I'm delighted to bring you on a CorkAbout today into St. Peter's on the North Main Street, and I'm standing surrounded in beautiful colour and light with the artist of the exhibition. That's a solo exhibition here, and this is Emmet Brickley. So Emmet, great to be here, and fantastic colours coming through. How are you doing, Emmet?
Great, thanks very much for coming. Yeah, I'm delighted with the show. It's a beautiful space. I suppose the light is fairly curious at times, but overall it's amazing. We're lucky to have the good weather now as well. So yeah, it's going great.
I first came across your paintings and they resonated completely with me because there was a beautiful sense of happiness, I suppose, and a beautiful kind of wateriness. I was on a run, I was absolutely soaked, but the endorphins had kicked in, and this was an exhibition that you had in the County Hall in the gallery that's there. A style of your painting that I recognised was the way that you treat your subjects in it. There's a kind of there's a distance between us and them. Do you want to tell us a little bit more about your distinctive style and how you came to find that, Emmet?
Yeah, so it was kind of initially, I would have been kind of a figurative painter in college, where kind of doing more realism, and it was from using Google Street View that I was just kind of taking figures to do gestural work. I thought it was kind of an interesting way to approach it, and then I just started finding myself very connected to the anonymous figures. Started kind of locally, and you'd almost know some of the figures that you were painting, and but then just seeing the kind of the patterns that were emerging in the gestures as I went around the world looking at it. It really drew me in, and I suppose when I say that it's from Google Street View, if you erase a lot of the street and everything, you'd kind of feel that connection as well. I think some of my reference work I in the future kind of want to show, because it's just us looking at us, I suppose, and then the painting style itself kind of came from trying to remove the uniqueness of the figure and really trying to find what I like, find what I was kind of drawn to initially, and that's where the painting style is kind of some people might think unfinished, I suppose, but in terms of it's more mark making and just layering. I suppose how would I phrase it? Layering. It's gone from my head.
When you mentioned gestural there, that struck a chord with one of the paintings you have here on exhibition, which is this girl. Sorry, I don't know the name of this one. It's the one with the girl crossing the street here. When it hits, and she's walking across the street, and it's the gesture of, she's obviously clearly holding a phone. Well, not clearly from the image, but you can tell by the position of her body. She could be a girl anywhere. So that's exactly kind of, I suppose, what you were thinking is anybody can connect with any of the subjects here, because there isn't a defined time and space.
Yeah, and that was quite important to me, I suppose, for the dissecting the reference image and kind of removing, I didn't want brands on the clothing, or one we discussed earlier about the phones is one that is my job's kind of gotten harder to find references of people genuinely in the moment as opposed to being on the mobile, but that's it's documenting our time as well to include some people with technology, but the gesture, I suppose I was saying to you that some people would find the work very joyful, and then other people might see kind of a melancholy, but it is people watching. It's when you absorb people, we put our own personalities into people. I think when you just watch someone, like if you're at a cafe and people are walking past you, you can build narratives for strangers, and that's essentially what I'm doing. And very grateful. It hits a chord with people. I kind of I was trying to in more recent time kind of change from just using Street View and going into this one that I'm calling the Islanders, because it's just it's a connection to Ireland, I suppose. The looking really at home, looking at the people, and I was really drawn to the figures from kind of the 1910s to 1940s period in rural Ireland, because with the figures in the Street View on the painting you directed to, there's a fashion sense even there that we know. And it's funny that these paintings, like the one behind you, that's kind of I think maybe the last time we had a unique fashion sense that was, absolutely based off kind of function, but Irish people equally cared about how they looked, and you can see that in the exhibition below, the 1900s, where everyone's wearing a cap, that was the style. But I was really drawn to the kind of, I suppose, the documented figures in this time in the kind of 1930s on the Man of Iron film, the false documentary, or whichever you'd call it. The people were really facing uncertainty constantly, and it was it was just during COVID that really struck a chord. And I find it funny, the figures are, you could almost interchange them, bar the silhouette being of that time, but so it kind of made me feel connected to Ireland a bit more than the global documentation. But I'm grateful that I think they kind of merge in with the other work kind of seamlessly, which is good. Which is something I don't really, I'm not very interested in doing one series of work and then scrapping it, because I think the reason I'm still painting 5 or 6 years on is that, like, it's developing a style. It's it's kind of a physical act from thinking. Is I am inspired by just every person around us. It doesn't really have to. I don't need a specific story to kind of get the brain going. So so I'm happy with this new series.
Did you, when you started out painting, did you realise, I suppose, how much time was going to be spent on observing? Because I think that's just such a big part of an artist's world, and just making those observances, and that's something that takes time. And of course, this is something that we're quickly losing, or if people are rushing away from taking time. Did you realise when you started out how much time?
I didn't realise how much time, and something I really faced last year, because I've been painting full time for the last kind of 9 months or a year. Just for the moment, well, it's going well, but there was almost a guilt of how much time I wasn't putting paint to canvas, because I had to really learn that, like, as you say, the observing and thinking is, you don't tick off you don't do 5 hours of thinking. For me anyway, it's I drive my friends and girlfriend mad that I'll have an idea for a painting, kind of, I could be in the studio till midnight on a Tuesday, and 4 a.m. sometimes. If I spend 3 days thinking, I'm like, I need to start it. But the time's a curious one, and I think I'm a young artist, so it's something I've really had to learn, that maybe, especially living in a city, everything moves at a different pace. But I'm grateful. I think it's something with painting is it's kind of organized my mind and my kind of grasp in the world. I kind of have a greater appreciation that things do take time, and while we have crazy things going on in the world, I'm not constantly impacted by every every tweet that goes up and all of these things. So I'm very grateful for that. I mean, I'm still on my phone hours a day like everyone else, but I won't pretend I'm that stoic. But it's something that I'm grateful that the thinking with art has really, it's really helped me in my own life, and my own grasp of the world we're in. So, yeah, very lucky for it.
Yeah, it's something that really comes across in your paintings, and I think it's beautiful because I think this was something that's being lost in society. I think, is the time that's needed to create works by the thinking process, and it's beautiful to see, I think, even in your works, that you can see the time, because there's almost like timelessness, there's almost the suspension here, being surrounded by these absolutely stunning works, and they're here on exhibition until the 1st of April. So I'd encourage you all to come upstairs, beautiful safe space, lovely and airy, and they're absolutely gorgeous. We're delighted. Your studio is also here in the city, which is great. One of the friends, I was happy to mention that I was coming to meet you today. One of the friends made a very lovely comment when I said that your studio was perched up high over the city, watching out. And isn't it great that these buildings, the upstairs of these buildings, are being used? It's great to see by an artist who's here, permeating into the fabric of our city and documenting it in such a beautiful way. I want to thank you very much on behalf of the Friends of Crawford Art Gallery for your time here today, Emmet. We're definitely going to keep an eye on your work. Friends, do come in and have a look at Emmet's work for yourself, and we'll be looking forward to seeing more of your work in the future, Emmet. Thank you very much for your time today.
And I just add as well, with my studio, if people are interested in coming up to see the work, often if I have a new painting, I'll be posting it online, and it's kind of it was hindered with COVID, but previous to that, people would they'd be welcome up just to have a look. Other artists, as in it's not just a job thing. People that are just painting themselves. It's something that you touched on there. We're actually a very creative city, and we need to get more connected, and these videos help. So I do really appreciate you coming in. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Emmet.